Good afternoon. My name's Lisa Mead, and I'm representing the Earth Law Alliance and the Ecological Law and Governance Association, which I will say more about later. First, I want to express gratitude to the UN for allowing us to be here and to have this event. And also, especially thanks to Thomas Egley, who's worked so hard to make this happen with the small team who've convened around the Rights of Nature conference. So thank you, Thomas, and also the other OSI volunteers who are helping us right now. And last but definitely not least, thank you to Daniela for bringing the presence of ceremony and water, which you've just offered to us. I've lost where she is there. Hello. Thank you. You really helped us to bring a vital part of nature into the room, and obviously without which no life on Earth would exist, so a very fundamental part of nature. The overarching theme for this afternoon is make nature the center of people's priorities. And your water ceremony made me think about one of my own long-term inquiries about rights of nature. And this inquiry relates to what it means on a practical level for decision-making and group processes when we include nature's inherent right to exist into our thinking and acting. So in other words, especially among those of us who are advocating for the inclusion of nature and its inherent rights within law and policies and politics, we need to set an example. So how do international groups and human communities at local and national level incorporate the presence of nature within their structures and decision-making processes? And Daniela showed us one way to do this, and I believe there are many more. However, they're currently quite alien to the mainstream Western way of doing things, which tends to be hyper-rational, thought-driven. So we need to make space, I think, for other ways of relating with ourselves and also with nature. Aspects of nature that are not human, since we are also nature, of course. So a bit later this afternoon, after the keynote speakers, we will do an exercise together based on the harmony with nature themes, and I hope this will extend our understanding of what we can do to bring nature more fully into our decision making, but more about that later. So in closing, I would say that in spite of all the current bad news around, I do believe there is hope for us. Nature is inherently regenerative, and as part of nature, I believe that humans also have the capacity to be regenerative. It just takes a little shift in our way of thinking about our place on the planet. And as Christopher Stone pointed out in his 1972 paper, Should Trees Have Standing?, it seems there's a parallel development between the evolution of law and the evolution of human moral conscience. And each extension of rights to a previously unrecognized entity has been unthinkable before it actually happened. And he refers to the recognition of children, of women, of slaves, and of ethnic minorities as examples of rights holders who at one time were considered incapable of having rights. So, since this Rights of Nature event started in Geneva in 2012, we've been fortunate to witness human moral conscience and consciousness evolving before our eyes, with several nations reaching the conclusion that morally and legally speaking, a key river in their jurisdiction should have legal standing and be recognized as having legal personhood, which is a great start. There are, of course, numerous challenges in shoehorning nature into our Western framework of law, but nevertheless, these developments move us closer towards our bigger vision of recognizing our true place as just one expression of nature within the whole community of life. So happily, the genie, as they say, is out of the bottle, and I trust that our deliberations over the next few days will assist in the practical development of this newly emerging, but also very ancient body of thought and wisdom. Thank you.